Shalom, people. This is Brother Lyles coming at you with another video. And we want to talk today about prophets, both real and false. In my lifetime, I can say that I would say I have met and personally known two people that I know operated in the gift of prophecy. And I believe that one that walks in that gift does not necessarily have to be given a title of a prophet, because these two individuals that I knew, only one, stated to me that he believed that he was a prophet. And for the most part of the time that I knew this one, he was not a one to come up and say, I know your birthday without you telling me, or I know that so-and-so is suffering from some kind of disease without them telling me. I never seen him do anything like that. What I did see him when I believe he did operating in that gift is that one time he made a pronouncement against this particular church that we were going to. Both of us was attending. And he really didn't make a pronouncement per se. He just stated what he seen in a vision that the Most High had given him. And at the time, the leadership that we were in, they wasn't having it. They was very adamant that, just because you're a quote unquote prophet doesn't mean that you can come here and pronounce certain things before the congregation without running it through us first. Make a long story short, they were fearful. I believe that the brother was, probably gonna reveal certain things unbeknownst to any of us that they didn't want to be known, because apparently the vision that the brother seen was saying something that eventually did come to pass. It eventually came to pass what he said. Now this was after he left, and so I mainly know the brother's operation in like I said, in the gift of the prophecy, in that he would state to me certain things that the Most High had shown him. I remember, we was in the military. Both of us, we was in the same unit. Cause I can remember him coming to me one time and basically, he could see that the friction that was going on between him and the pastor. And the brother was not a one to try to come in and do anything bad. He was actually trying to do good. But because of the jealousy and envy, right? Which, like I said, he wasn't, during the service hopping up and calling out people's names and saying, I know that you got this sin in your life or anything like that. Because obviously, like I said, the leadership at the church was not going to let that happen. But he was very cordial. He was very accommodating in the fact that he tried to help people. But I can remember him coming to me because what he stated to me, he said, what I see need the needs that are needed in this. I'm getting to a point with this to show you what we see as what we call prophets and prophetesses. I've actually met one, and all that stuff that I seen these people out here doing is not what he was doing. But when he brought and said certain things, it was for a purpose, and they all came to pass. Okay, so getting back to what I said, he'd seen that there was a need for a prayer ministry. So what happened was, I was the assistant pastor at that time, and just to be honest with you, I was more of a flunky because, like I said, the pastor, he wasn't having anybody out shining him or whatever. And to make a long story short, he said that he wanted to get with me and that me and him would meet once a week for a prayer ministry. Just me and him at my house or his house. And so the pastor came to me and basically said, okay, I don't trust him. If he says do anything that's not right, you need to report back to me, which I was very uncomfortable in doing. And I did like the brother. Me and him and my wife and his wife, we were good friends. But anyway, fast forward, we started a prayer ministry. And I remember the very first night he came to my house, and I told my wife, we're gonna be, in the front room praying, whatever. He said, listen, brother, he said, this is my rules of engagement. He said, when I get to your house, he said, we will not talk over 2 minutes, meaning when he first get their house, we're not gonna talk for about 10, 15 minutes and then get into prayer. He said, within 2 minutes, I want to be down in prayer. And once we finish prayer, I don't want to be more than 2 minutes here at your house. When I say our goodbyes and I'm going, he said, because I don't want nothing else to be said or discussed. Now, remember, Pastor already told me, hey, if he say something, so it was like he intentionally knew this was almost like a setup, which again, I wasn't gonna do that anyway because I wasn't gonna try to put him on the spot by getting probing him or anything. Make a long story short, we prayed and we prayed and we prayed and we prayed, and I can remember one time the pastor came and he came past or whatever. I don't know if it was right after we got through or whatever, but I guess he was just because what I had been doing was reporting back to him. All we doing is praying. He said, and in the prayer, we ain't talking about whatever. We just praying. And the brother could pray. He could pray. And I guess he wanted to see for himself, and he came, but he didn't stay and pray with us. And I remember, the brother, he said, Brother Lyles, he said, I know that, us coming over here, I think I know what's going on. He said, but I would tell you that, I do think of you as a friend. I know. And I said, yeah, we are friends. Cause like I said, we was in the same unit and everything. And I said, yeah, we actually it made our relationship grow stronger together through the prayer. And from that, we even expanded out, and it was a radio station there in the town that we went and and the master allowed us to start a weekly Bible study that me and him both did, and we used to have Bible giveaways, where people would call in and answer the question. And it was like, wow, it was just like he said when he first came. Everything that he said that he wanted to accomplish while he was there, it happened. And I was like, wow, man, this brother is the real deal. And like I said, there was no thing of he taking the mic and walking up and down the aisle and saying, I know you got cancer. It was none of that. But everything that he was pronouncing, it was to edify, right? And he did make, I said, in that warning that he had gave when he first got there. And it really wasn't, like I said, he just stated a vision that he had seen. Okay, let me tell you what the vision was that he seen. Okay, so in the church building that we was in first, they had a painting of a I don't know if it was black. I think it was a black Yeshua, and he had his hands reached out, if I can remember well. But in his face, right, your brother said in his vision, he was in the sanctuary and he seen that painting. He said all of a sudden, he said he seen bloody tears streaming down out of the eyes of the painting of Yeshua that was in the church, that was in the pulpit. It was right behind our pulpit, and they didn't like that. But everything that the brother said years later, now the church itself per se is still that we left that building. We had to leave that building and go into another building in town. But overall, that quote unquote ministry, it did go away because there was a lot of stuff that ended up happening. Like I said, I can remember, like I think I've stated this before, that one time that same pastor took a Bible and threw it against the wall, and it was all kind of crazy stuff that was happening. Eventually that ministry, it went away, just like the brother's vision had said, because like he said, he seen Yeshua, or Jesus as some of you call him, the tears of blood coming out of his eyes, crying, and in his vision. And I can remember him coming to me. Everything was going pretty well. He said, he said, okay, well, I don't think we need to do the prayer ministry anymore. He said, because I'm getting ready. I've been praying. He had told me this before. He said, I had been praying for the Most High to let me leave here because my work was done. And I remember it was the post that we was at, it was very, very hard to leave that post. I remember I tried to leave. I put in orders and everything, and they deleted my order. So when he came to me and told me, I'm getting ready to leave here, and he didn't have no orders or anything, he said, listen, brother, he said, I'm gonna leave this post real soon. And I was like, yeah, right. I was just thinking in my mind, again, like I said, everything up to that time the brother had talked about, it came to pass. So when he said this, he said, me looking at that, I was like, well, this is going to be a little impossible. But I can remember when he came to me, about the prayer thing, he said, well, we ain't going to be able to do the prayer thing anymore because I just got orders to go to. It was like he got this assignment like it was a dream assignment. I mean, like these assignments only come through on, like one in 1,000. This was 1 in 10,000. The assignment. He said, but this is what I asked the master for. And I was like, wow, this brother, he's, and I was like, wow. So the thing that I recognized for me of a person that walked in that gift of prophecy is that, first of all, they got to have an outstanding prayer life. And that brother had an outstanding prayer life. he also had a 100% accuracy in the thing, because it's not the number of prophecies that these prophets prophesize, how many of them come pass. And if you look at and we're going to go over it real here and soon, Deuteronomy, it states that if the person prophesies something and it don't come to pass, I don't come in how many times before their prophecies might have been accurate, they're a false prophet. But everything that this brother prophesied, it came to pass. And really, if the pastor had not been so whatever, he probably, the master, the Lord, probably could have used him more in bringing forth things in his gift of prophecy that could have edified. Because, like I said, and he had fruit. We did the prayer ministry. We started. He came up. Me and him got together about the radio station. All of that. He was bringing forth fruit. Me and him was in the same unit. I could see him bringing forth fruit in the unit that we was in. I seen it. His life was a living testament. So to me, to see all these people that are on stages, that are flying around the world and calling out cancers and all these different things, this is not what we should expect for those that are among you that say that they have the gift of prophecy. Yeah, it could be that the Most High is going to use them to speak things to people that they might be sick or thing, but this should not be just the norm of what they do. They should have fruit of, like I said, the prayer ministry, encouraging. Even in myself, he came to me, and I admitted to him, because of, like I said, the denominationalism that we were in, that my prayer life before me and him started that prayer ministry was not what it was supposed to be. And that was a direct relation to the fact that within the Church of God in Christ that we was part of, it was all about the money, all about getting the reports. And so I think this has a direct relationship to shape how those that have the gift of prophecy operate, and in that they feel, okay, in order to have any kind of power, I gotta get out and prophesy outlandish things that might not, are very vague things that's not even of edification. Being able to call people name out and say they got car keys in their pocket and all this kind of crazy stuff, and then we find out all kinds of gimmicks and they end up, some of them could be real prophets, but if they go into this and they adulterate their gift, remember the Bible said these are gifts of the Spirit, so they are motivated by the Spirit. And this is why you will come to find out when sometimes the Spirit will not move in them, because it's not moving in that way. You'll find that they'll be divining and all these things through false spirits, because the Holy Spirit would have, remember Saul? Remember that when Yah put his spirit on him and they said it's Saul among the prophets. But then when Saul started being disobedient to Yah because he feared the people, remember what ended up happening? Evil spirit from Yah came upon him. A spirit of stubbornness and disobedience and witchcraft came upon him because he would not obey the word of Yah. And so I believe that this has a direct correlation in this thing. And this was formed back during the early years I think the early latter years of the Pentecostal, what we call the Pentecostal movement, in particular the latter rain movement, which was mostly a movement driven by white Pentecostals, and we got to do I got to do a study, and this might not be believable to some of you, about the racist roots of the word faith movement, the racist roots of even some of the these white prophets that a lot of our people hold in high esteem, who turn out to be false prophets, and that a lot of their quote unquote miracles turn out to be very questionable because our people were looking for the sensational and the outlandish, when, just like I just got through telling you about this brother, a prophet should, a person with the gift of prophecy, because they not, the other person that I knew that had the gift of prophecy, they was not working in the capacity or what they call the office, which I don't like that. I don't like how they take the book of Ephesians and say, oh, this is the office. No, it's still the gift. You can be in the office of a prophet. You could put yourself in the office of a prophet. But if you don't have the gift, it don't mean anything. You can put yourself in the quote unquote office of an evangelist, or office of a pastor, or the office of apostle, and not have it. You understand? The only real quote unquote office, if you want to use that term, is that of a elder. There is no other. You got all these people making themselves overseers, bishops. If you go back to the Greek, it's only elder. And you have only two kinds of elders. You have the elders of those who are aged, and then you have the elders of those that have proven themselves, have a husband or one wife, had good report of them in and out and all that. But those are only quote unquote offices. All the other stuff that they talk about in Ephesians is actually the gift of an apostle, the gift. And sometimes you have people that don't know per se that they have that gift, and they might be actually operating in it. In this particular case, the brother was operating in the gift of prophecy, and now the pastor didn't let him go around calling himself a prophet and all that. But he did for himself, and now he said, I am a prophet. But I don't remember him ever, stating, hey, call me prophet this or prophet that. Because like I said, he was very humble. He was very, like I said, fruitful. And I'm telling you, this is what we need to understand as we see all this coming forth, that although, yes, prophets are to foretell, are to warn, or and different things, but if it's not benefiting those around them, what good is it to go on a national stage all the time? Now, it's good that the edify, and because we got the internet, it's good. But I would like to see these individuals' everyday life. I would like to see, first and foremost, when you see the prophets in the Bible, the Most High, he would always, these people would walk in great faith. And that's one of the things that I also believe about this brother, is that not only was, like I said, he was operating in the gift of a prophet, but he was also operating in the gift of faith. He had great faith. You understand? I can remember him when we used to get up and we used to do the prayer lines in the the church, and of course, like I said, the pastor was always looking over his shoulder to make sure that he wasn't trying to be grandiose. But I can remember him laying hands on people And I can remember him. I think he was telling somebody something, and you could see that he was really engaged in talking to them. And we won't know him like, oh, you're gonna. He was just talking to him, and I can say for myself, watching that, how he prayed with those people, and with such a confidence and a demeanor about what he was saying to them. You could see that it was effectual, and he was sure about what he was saying when he was praying. And so I can remember, after he left, he had, like I said, a profound effect in my life. I can remember where I had stated, I'm not getting up here when we having these prayer lines and putting anything in anybody's mouth. And, just following some of the things that I seen that he did, I was like, okay. I said, let me try. And so my thing was, when a person would come up, I would always say, what is it that you want I used the word Lord back then, the Lord to do for you? And then they would tell me, and then I would pray. So I can remember one time this sister came up, and I said, what is it that you want the Lord to do for you? And before I even laid hands on the sister, she just started foaming at the mouth. She started, and I was like, and I am inside myself, I'm like, what is going on here? But then I start understanding about just being a vessel for the Spirit to move through you into the lives of other people, and unbeknownst to even to yourself. And I was like, this is what it's about. It's not about me getting out here and but letting the Spirit flow through me, where you're not even having to touch nobody. You're not even having to lay hands on nobody, or you're not even having to make some grandiose announcement that I know that you have sin in your life, but letting the Holy Spirit through you convict them to heal them, or to give revelation to them that it is a demonic spirit in you, and the Holy Spirit have need to set you free. And I was like, wow, this is what I'm talking about. To the point where you look in the book of Acts, where it said when Peter walked somewhere, sometimes his shadow would heal the people. And was no some outlandish, all this outlandish stuff like Benny Hinn taking his jacket and throwing at people and all this kind of stuff, that you would just speak to people and say, what do you have need of that Yah to do for you? And the Spirit that is in you will come upon them and minister to them without you being the center of attraction. It will be the Spirit. And to show you how good Yah was, like I said, he greatly affected my life, knowing this brother. I can remember one time the Spirit told me to tell this one sister that got up in the line for prayer. And I was like, Holy Spirit, I don't want to be a false prophet. He said, tell her what I need you to tell her. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And when I told the sister, she was like, she started crying. I'm like, what did I say? And then she just started crying. And I was like, okay, I prayed for her. But so afterward, as they usually do in culture, they give you the person the mic or whatever. And she said, when I came up for prayer for Minister Lyles, and he stated that, blah, 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 y'all said this, he said he didn't know that I've been wanting to have a child, and when I couldn't get a child, I had basically shut myself off. But I knew I had to, and I was like, wow, this is the way the gift of prophecy should be operating in these people. They should not have a bellicose type thing, or it's about me. It should be able to minister to the people and to be able to draw something. Now, to those that are wicked, now, obviously, it needs to put fear in them. So it's not going to be the case of everything. But what I'm trying to say is this gift of prophecy does not need to be something that's only nationally used, where I'm only calling out to the nations. This should be for those around you every day, those that need to hear something from Yah. Because remember, not all people, all believers. Now you can be going back to what I said, a person that has the gift of prophecy, like that other person I told you that did not know that they had the gift of prophecy, but they did the things of those that had the gift of prophecy, but they did not be in an office. That gift should be something also to edify those around you. But you see, in the economy of America, in this thing called Eurocentric Christianity, it's about profit. And you're not going to get no profit on just being able to, do everyday things in talking to people to help them get their life on track, because it all supposed to work together. So what you have now is you have a competition between those that have the gift of pastoring and those that have the gift of prophecy and those that have the gift of evangelism. You have a agitation where they're not coming together as they said, these gifts, these five, in that they can all come together in a fist of Yah, the right hand of Yah, and bow. But this is coming though. I believe it is coming. And I have great hope that hopefully those that are out there on YouTube or whatever, that's out there, prophesying these things against some of these big time mega church pastors or whatever, but that they also, those around them in their local ministries that they might be part of, that they also are exercising that gift there also, and not just to get a headline somewhere. This is what we need, because the thing is, it needs to be so grassroots that it's like grass. Grass is everywhere on this earth. If you had, let's just say, one big tree, right, that it was only one tree that held this particular fruit in all the world, or let's say it might have been 5 particular trees in all the world. If you uproot all those trees, that fruit is gone. But grass is everywhere, right? You can try to uproot grass all you want. You can come pull up all the grass, let's just say, in your particular city. Let's just say if somebody hypothetically was able to uproot all the grass in New York City. You still got the rest of the world where it's so much. So you will never be able to uproot the grass. This is where believers need, when it comes to these people that are operating in there. This should not be something that those that have the gift of prophecy say, well, I got to wait till I get a world stage. No, work where you are at. Because they just say some of these people that's out here prophesying these different things about, I'm pretty sure it was probably other people in other places that had the gift of prophecy that been prophesying stuff like this for years, but they don't have the platform. So yes, it's good that these people up here, but even if they tie these people down, it won't stop the grassroots. So we need to make sure the grassroots of you out here who are looking at this video, that you operate in that gift of prophecy where you were at, because the Bible also says a man's gift will make room for him. Now, I don't know what happened to the brother after we left. I did have some concerns about him, because at that time that, he was really, Most High was really, really working through him. He had talked to me about, it was a guy, his name is Prophet Jordan now. He calls himself Bishop Jordan now, but he called himself back then Prophet Jordan. He was in all these religious magazines, Charisma and all this stuff, and he started running a quote unquote school of prophets. And I think I remember the brother talking about he was going to try to join up with that, but I hope he didn't, because this Prophet Jordan and all those ones that started those schools of prophecies, I think that you see a whole, like I said, especially amongst us as black people, all these ones that call themselves prophets that they just start going crazy out here, prophesying all kind of crazy stuff that was not coming to pass, and clashing with others, that were, in the different churches or whatever, clashing with them, and then they start coming up with these titles, stupid titles, master prophets, super prophets, all this kind of crazy stuff. And then some of them, transition into quote unquote bishops. And it was just totally crazy. And I pray that the brother didn't get caught up into that. I pray that he discontinued to let the Most High use him. Because think about Jeremiah. Jeremiah was prophesying. He was one of the greatest prophets there. He's called a weeping prophet next to Isaiah. I think, he had visions of the Messiah too. But Jeremiah was a prophet that nobody listened to. But all his prophecies came to pass. But he was very hated by his own family, right? And most of his prophesying and things was met with deaf ears. But in the analogy of the prophets today, they want people to be of great fear of them, not because they're prophesying things of warning in the sense of trying to get people back on track with what they are saying, and that they also are making prophecies and things that are of extra biblical content that are nowhere, shape, and form lining up with the word of Yah. But they're heaping unto themselves people having itching ears. And so much so, like I said, I would tell you, just continue to, if you believe that a person is operating in a gift of prophecy, or they say they're in the office of a prophet, see how many of their prophecies, past and present, have they gotten right, and how many they have got wrong. Because Deuteronomy 18 says this. He says, Deuteronomy 18:22 said, when a prophet speak in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord has not spoken, but the prophet has spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. I don't care how many times he or she before has said anything, because some of these people, after the Most High has rejected them, they can still be operating in the gift of divination, like Saul. Saul had an evil spirit from the master that was upon him. And some of these people, and you can tell, like I said, the object of what a lot of things that they prophesying is things that's not of edification. Why do you need to know if somebody got the car keys of a Toyota Avalon in their left pocket and all these kind of things, right? Or also that, oh yeah, you got cancer. Okay, yeah, but tell me what the master is telling me I need to do to be healed from the cancer. Not that I know I got the cancer. I don't need you to tell me that I got cancer. What good is that to know? And then you find out half the time these guys have had people fill out cards and sit in certain seats that they get the card and they look at the card and say, oh yeah, such and such, whatever name, you got cancer, whatever. What kind of car? They probably got the cars, but what kind of car did you drive here? What pocket did you put your car keys in? So of course, oh yeah, yeah, you got a Tahoe, black. You parked in the far corner of the field over there. What? Stop all this madness. I'm telling you. Y'all want to keep this stuff at grassroots level, because remember, in the end, right, in Revelations, it talks about the two witnesses, right, that prophesy, right? And they said when they do prophesy, they're prophesying judgment. And they said they're prophesying sackcloth. So it's saying to me that they're going to be a people or two people. Some say that the two witnesses represents the two kingdom, the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Ephraim, the northern kingdom, and that this is a representation of the people. So I say it could be actually two people. I'm more tending to believe that is the two prophets are representations of the northern and the southern kingdom, that within the northern and the southern kingdom there are going to be people. There are going to be people that have the gift of prophecy that are going to rise up and prophesy all around the world that these people, right? He said they're going to prophesy in sackcloth and ashes, that these people are not going to be, in my opinion, people that's going to be ostentatious and flamboyant, like just crazy stuff you see in the last 50, 60 years, starting with the latter rain movement, where they're coming out and they got people carrying their Bibles and all this kind of stuff. I believe, like I said, it's going to be like, you're seeing here on YouTube, and you're seeing on Facebook and all these different places, where they're going to be regular Joe Smoes, Josephine Smoes, like my friend, the prophet. And they're going and it's going to be so many, right, that they're not going to be able to do anything about it. Although it does say that the two prophets are going to be killed, and the whole world is going to be able to see them, right? And they said their body going to lay in the streets spiritually called Sodom, and it's the city where the master was crucified. So their body going to lay there for 3 days, and then they're going to after the third day, their body's going to be taken up into heaven. I believe that there's going to come a time where the warnings, which I believe why they're coming out so fast and furious now, they're going to stop. They're going to be able to somehow shut down all this stuff that you're seeing going on, with the stuff coming out, like with, TD Jakes, stuff coming out about all this other. They're gonna stop, and they said the world is gonna rejoice and give gifts to each other. But then after 3 days, he said that the spirit can't come back in their body. They're going to be lifted up into heaven. I do believe that the time will come when, the warnings will start, and we're gonna see mass destruction like never before. So right now, the Most High is being merciful, but what needs to definitely happen is you got to not redo what we seen in this Christian television thing where we are going around and marketing and everything. That as the spirit is moving through ones that believe that they have the gift of prophecy, I believe that they should let it flow where they're at. I don't believe that they need to get out here and say, okay, well, I'm gonna start going to different churches or different assemblies or whatever. And no, let Most High use you where you're at, because I think it's gonna probably be for a limited season that He's gonna be letting these prophecies come forth worldwide like they are, because He has to allow those that are going to get caught up to the false prophets to not listen to the prophets that are of Him right now. He has to give them a chance to reject the true prophets of Yah, so that later on when the false prophets arise, like Yeshua stated in Matthew 7 and 15, when He said, beware of false prophets that come in sheep's clothing, inwardly they are ravenous wolves. When the false prophet that will be the prophet of the Antichrist comes along, all those that will have rejected the prophets that were from Yah, that were prophesying comfort to those that need to be comfort and warning to those that need to be warning, those that will reject those, when the false prophet comes along, and he comes along with his new breed of prophets, because he's going to come with a new breed of prophets that's going to be totally energized by all the demonic and technological power that Satan can bring to bear. Can you imagine these false prophets is going to come along that's going to have the power of AI in them? They're going to have the power of, like I said, those that have given their bodies over to be demonically energized. They're going to give the people what they want. They're going to, and I would say to you, me and my wife was talking about it the other day, that when Reagan came in the office, he was supposed to be the darling of the evangelicals. All the while, his wife was receiving instruction from Edgar Casey, who was a psychic and might as well say a false prophet. They said that they used to go to the top of the White House and do whatever. And we know that Reagan was greatly influenced by his wife. Remember, crack is whack and all this other kind of crazy stuff that came along. Nancy Reagan, and she was being influenced by Edgar Casey. This false prophet is going to come along, is going to be Edgar Casey, Nostradamus, all those wrapped up. Then when he gonna put all the prosperity preachers, prophets to shame. They're gonna come to him to lay hands on them. But before he comes, Yah will put out his true prophets and prophetesses to prophesy. But like I said, we can't really totally investigate people's life on YouTube if they calling themselves anything, calling themselves evangelist, pastor, whatever. We can only go by, you know, the words that he or she says, right? And see if it lines up with the word of Yah. And as much as possible, from what they speak to you, find out what their life is. But I just want you to know that I have met and known a one that would be considered a prophet, and that it was a you know, I still consider him to be a friend today. And I did get in contact with him many years ago, but yeah, I think he was, like I said, moving in a different direction at that time. And I guess all the stuff that had happened, you know, there when we was at that one particular church, I guess he probably was more like, you know, maybe I don't want to revisit all that stuff. And if me and the brother get back together, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about, the old days. And the old days was not that appealing to me. So I'd rather just close the book on that chapter and just keep moving. And I can understand that. Unfortunately, that's what happens a lot of times. You know, when you do come out of some of these organizations and then you get back together sometime with the certain people that was with you, you kind of be like, well, you know, I don't, you know, what, you know, a lot of our talk might be about what we came out, and then sometimes that can be too painful, and sometimes people just rather just move on and say, you know, I just established with a new set of friends and we go in a different direction. But be that as it may, just continue to pray my strength in the Most High. Beware of false prophets, because yeah, the false prophet, you know, some say, and I believe it probably will, it will be the Pope. I think it will be the one that maybe the next Pope that comes out. I'm not sure. That could be, but understand, he has always been a false prophet. Whatever man sat in that office of the Pope has always been a false prophet. But I believe the false prophet of Revelations is going to be coming up next. I really believe it. And I believe it's going to, a person that's going to be able, which you see the papacy doing that already, is going to be able to, one that's going to be able to pull together all the religions together and deconstruct all of them and come up with this do as thou will thing as a whole of what it is to believe in Yah for the whole world. And I believe he is going to be able to do this by being able to speak forth things that will come to pass. And as the Bible says, he's going to be able to call down fire out from heaven in the sight of men, of those that will receive the mark in their right hand or their forehead. So with that, I ask you to give this video a thumbs up. I ask you to leave a comment. I'm going to ask you to subscribe. Be blessed.